podcast. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you listening. This is Jeff.
And this is Chad.
All right. Welcome. This is, I want to say this is maybe podcast number 12 or something. So are we that far along?
No, I don't think we're that far along, actually.
Is this 10? Maybe we need to... Once we can count the number...
This might be 9.
Maybe 9? Dang.
Yeah.
All right, well, 10 will have a big blowout. It'll be a special extra edition. We'll add an extra 5 minutes. How's that?
Well, I think the big celebration is going to be when we get to 2 subscribers.
Let's do that. So if you're listening out there in podcast land and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Please do so. We'll send you a T-shirt when we have T-shirts.
Actually, I mean, in joking, we got the based on the last podcast, the Perfect Podcast, we discussed how we started this thing and how it's not perfect right now.
Yep.
So the way that we set this thing up, instead of going through the typical traditional iTunes way, we did it through YouTube. So we're obviously, as you know, if you're listening to this, you're listening to it on YouTube. You're probably thinking, I'm Chad is stating the obvious, but so you have a YouTube subscriber. We also have a Facebook page.
Yep.
Which, so we've got a lot of likes on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
But the likes on the Facebook page don't correspond with a subscriber on the YouTube page.
That's right.
But to listen to it, you don't have to be subscribed.
Well, and so I've listened to it through Facebook, on the way into work.
Right, but it's playing through YouTube.
It's a YouTube link, but it's playing through Facebook.
Right.
So maybe those folks are...
And so it's getting listens. They're getting listens. So people are out there listening. I think that you can always chalk that 2 of them are me and you.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
So, but I do think we have actually. I want to say we have 4 subscribers today.
Right.
But it was weird because the Gmail will tell me whenever we have a subscriber, and because it came up once, I was like, oh look, we got a subscriber! Yay!
Right.
I've got a subscriber. We've got a subscriber, and. But then I saw something that was like there's 4 subscribers, so I don't know.
Interesting. 2 of those are us. So
I don't know. I don't think it'll.
I'm pretty sure I subscribed. I'm almost certain I've subscribed.
I don't think it'll count me as a subscriber because it's through my account.
Yeah. So maybe So at least one of those is me. I know I subscribed. So.
And I didn't get a note that you subscribed, unless you're the one subscriber that came through the Gmail.
Maybe. Yeah. I'll look. Well, look.
Anyway,
so the topic today segues a bit into why are we doing this in the first place, which is actually going to be the topic that I've been playing around with. And it struck me a couple times over the last few weeks. First, when I started the Wednesday fasts, which I've really enjoyed, especially getting back to Thursday morning masses. So we talked last time about how I gave up a Wednesday mass for Chad's birthday, or a Wednesday fast.
So special. I feel so special.
That's right. But then going back to the perfection idea as well, I still got up and went to Mass Thursday morning, right?
Yes.
So, so I missed the fast 1 week, but I'm not going to give up on Thursday morning Masses. It's just so nice, Really like that here in St. Martha's. There's a Thursday morning Mass at 6:30 a.m. Started going years ago when it was out in the old facility, and they had a really nice Eucharistic chapel. It was very small.
Friday, actually, wasn't it? It used to be on Friday.
Well, maybe before my time, but it was always Thursday. When I started going, it was on Thursdays.
Okay.
And it was very well attended. The chapel was small, but it was usually pretty well full. It was very, like I said, it was very tight and intimate. It was just a really neat experience. I started doing that for a family member that was sick, and I just made that a practice, and so would go in there every Thursday morning and pray for her, and through the grace of God that she was healed, and kind of fell away from the practice a bit because of some work things, and then also when the church moved to the new location, that just that kind of changed up a lot of things. I use that excuse more than anything else, really. So going back to that is great. So sitting there, especially the last couple of weeks going to Thursday Mass, and then also at Mass a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, where the weather was beautiful. And we still, it was like, we don't usually go to 11 o'clock Mass because it's like right in the middle of the day, but because of some things going on, we had to. And, I was sitting there going, really from the outside looking in, and even this podcast, right? Because it's blown up on Facebook, and all of our friends are seeing it that may or may not be Catholic, and a lot of my friends didn't even know, that I'd become Catholic, probably, some of those older friends from high school and college and stuff, right? And so the question is like, why are we doing this? Because from the outside in, it's like, okay, you're getting up Sunday mornings, You're getting all your kids dressed, right? You're giving up that sort of Sunday morning quiet time, that's like by the time you get back, it's lunchtime. That's, basically 25-30% of your whole weekend time spent going to church. Why are you doing this podcast thing? Why are you on earth waking up early before work to go into church, right? Like, I'd rather sleep in for an extra 30 minutes, right? And so that's been kind of the challenge that's been rattling around in my head, and I really like it, because if it just puts all of this into perspective. So for the first thing for me, it's like the easy answer, right, should be, and this is going to be a bit of a quiz show, so I'm going to put Chad on the spot here, but, the first thing is like, well, I'm doing this because I can get to heaven, right? In my faith journey, I strongly believe that. That's why we're doing it. But, human beings don't work like that, right? We very rarely work towards something that's intangible, unseeable, and hopefully a long ways away, right? I really like the idea of seeing, your friends and your family in heaven and being able to spend that time with them forever. And that's like an anchor for me. So that's certainly one way. Maybe we'll talk about it at some point, but we have lost a few, along the way, and getting to see their face, and get to know them, and believing that they're there and waiting for us and praying for us. That certainly motivates me, right? But it's the day-to-day that motivates human beings much more than the sort of somewhat obtruse, right? For me, yesterday, walking out of Thursday morning mass, and the sun's just starting to come up, and there's just something about walking out that door. There's never an ugly sunrise. When you're leaving mass, there's just never an ugly sunrise. It puts me in such a state of, peace and, appreciation for my life. And that was kind of the second part of this, right? Is that I don't think there's any other activity that I do that gives me an appreciation for who I am and what I have. It gives me that sort of daily or weekly gratitude for that. And so for just that reason, somebody sat down with me and said, dude, what are you doing? Look at all the time you spend on this, right? I would say, this is the way that makes me feel like who I really am, right? That's what it gets down to. And do you have to be Catholic for that? I don't know. You could argue that, right? But I think you have to be into something that's beyond yourself and outside of yourself. And Catholicism is wonderful because the senses are all engaged when you're at Mass. We're with communion. We believe that's communion with Christ, and I've had those moments where after you receive the Eucharist, you're just back there in the pew and it feels like you're just floating, right? You're just totally connected to this bigger thing, right? The bigger universe. And, maybe one podcast will have maybe more of a metaphysical discussion on, things like that. But I've certainly had those experiences as well. But that doesn't anchor you into the let's get up Thursday morning and just go, right? It's that this is just making me really feel great about who I am and about where I'm at in life, even with the failures, right? Even with the imperfections and everything else. It's just great. It's great. So I guess I'll kick that over to you, right? It's like, it's not the question. There's a great book, by the way, called Why Be Catholic, which really gets into some of the theology and really gets into that. And that's all true, and we believe that, and that's certainly a motivation, right? But I'm changing the question a little bit into not why be Catholic, but why are you doing this, right? So there you go.
So this is my quiz show?
Yeah, this is your quiz show, Chad. Why are you doing this, man?
That's good, because
what a waste of time, right? You are a busy guy. Why are you doing all this stuff?
I think this is one of those questions that doesn't have a wrong answer.
No, it does. I'll tell you if you're wrong.
I think, honestly, while you were speaking, I was just reflecting on everything you were saying. It's us. It's that gratitude. What Eucharist is it Greek? Mm-hmm. It's for Thanksgiving, mm-hmm. right? Doesn't it mean Thanksgiving? Something to that effect. Where this is how we're showing our thanks for our blessings. And you had mentioned gratitude. This is the way that we express our gratitude. We're here. We're created to worship God, and that worship doesn't only occur in a church building on Sunday mornings. Mm-hmm. Or even you can just say, in a church building period. We're called to be holy always, mm-hmm. and to give glory to God in everything that we do. So I think that's why we do things. That's why we do this podcast. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to get the Acts Bible that I was talking about last time, out there. It's just, this is a way that I'm worshiping God, because if we can further His kingdom here on earth, just a little teeny bit. I mean, that's what we're called to do. So I'd say the short answer for me is this is my worship. This is part of my worship, part of my thanksgiving and gratitude to God for all the blessings He's given me. That I want to spread the gospel, because I would like people to experience what I experience. And when you get something that's awesome, when you were just telling me before we started this one about this awesome book you were reading.
Yeah.
You don't hoard that to yourself. You share it.
Yep.
If you've got a favorite recipe that you had that was amazing, you share it.
Yep.
A movie that you saw that was amazing and you want everybody, you share it. So why wouldn't we share the most important thing ever? The God who created us all, who created all of this, gives us our being, is calling us to holiness and wants to have communion with us and wants to be with us in our lives and share eternity with us. Why wouldn't we share that with other people? So that's really, I guess, my short answer.
So there was a great kind of moment a couple weeks ago, right? So
did I get that right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Let's explore it a little more. So All Saints Day is a holy day of obligation in the church, right? And that's another great one, right? Because you're like, our church has holy days of obligations. Really? That's kind of weird. They're like, they make you go to church. They don't make us go to church, but let's not get into that, right? So holy day of obligation was All Saints Day, right? A certain baseball team here locally was in the World Series.
Go Astros!
And it was, the game. That was the game, was Wednesday night. That was the game, right? And I wasn't able to go to church during the day because of work, and wasn't able to make it in the morning. And so the All Saints Mass was, I think that evening, it started at 6:30 or 7 or whatever. So bundled up, took my beautiful 3-year-old and got her out of mom's hair, and we went to church, and she promptly fell asleep in the car, so she slept through the whole thing. And as I was walking out of Mass, I was looking at all the texts, because I had to do not disturb, because my phone was blowing up, because they were already at 5-0. And I made it home and watched the rest of the game, which was a very technical baseball game, but not super exciting, because there wasn't any scoring after that. So missed all the scoring in the game.
Very tense game.
Exactly. So missed the home runs, missed all the the flashy excitement in the beginning, because I was at church, right? And so again, that kind of like went through this like why are you doing that, right? Like society would say, dude, it's all right if you miss church. It's like the World Series is never going to happen again. Yeah. You could go to church tomorrow. Yeah. But for us, it was like, no, I'm not going to miss that. Like this is what we do. This is, and it becomes a what we do rather than a why do you do it. It's not even like a why so much anymore. It's just, this is what I do. I wake up Sunday mornings and I go to church. It's part of who we are.
Yes.
Yes. And even to the extent of, the Astros, hopefully they get to the World Series again next year, and that would be great. But if not, that's okay, because it's sports, and this is my life, and you have to put that a bit in perspective. And so I think that's the other part of that, why do you do it? So if I was sitting across from someone that was secular and non-Catholic and, thought this whole thing was just a huge waste of time, thinking about how I would answer that person is like, the theology is there, of course, but just to explain it in terms of my own life, it's like, this is what I am. This is who I am, right? It would be as against who I am now in terms of the man I want to be and the family I want to have, is if I did something completely opposite to the church. And so when I go and I'm there, this is how I get to be the better me, and, if someone's really into going to the gym, and maybe that's become their identity or what it is, it would be hard for them to answer that question. Like, why are you working out? Well, I can, it's the health things, and it's this thing and that. But at the end of the day, you get down to it, that's the person's identity, right? And what we're striving to be is a Catholic man and have that identity. And so it's not unusual to say, I went to Holy Day of Obligation, missed the World Series. Oh, that's what he does, right? He's a Catholic man. Obviously, he would put that first.
I never thought of this until you were just talking, but it is a journey. So last time we talked about the journey, I would argue that it's how do I articulate it? So like you just mentioned, like the guy that goes to the gym, that's just who he is. I would say at first it's not. So
Yeah.
at first,
Yep.
you're going for a reason.
Yep.
So maybe that reason for the faith is that you're praying for a family member. Maybe what gets you in the door to go to a church, any church, Catholic or not, is you feel this need for something outside of yourself, like we mentioned earlier. So maybe that's what gets you in there.
Yep.
But then once you're there and you start receiving the graces, because I really believe that, I do struggle. It's a little tangent. I do struggle a little bit with, we are all selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I am like the most selfish person I know. So everything that I do is going to benefit me in some way or another, and I struggle with that. We talk about Lent. How often during Lent do you give up like sweets or whatever? Well, guess what? That's going to benefit you.
Yeah,
that's going to benefit me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is a sacrifice, but it's going to benefit me.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
No more sweets and stuff like that is going to help my waistline, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to help my weight. So I do struggle with that a little bit. But, you're going back to the thing, so you're going to get something out of going to church. You're going to get something out of worshiping God. God's going to give you graces. You're going to feel good.
Yep.
But there's going to be a point where that's going to maybe not be so evident.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go through these dry spells. Like I was just listening to one of the Catholic Stuff podcasts, and they mentioned Mother Teresa.
Oh, yeah.
Had
a lifelong.
The end of her life,
Yep.
for I don't know how many, but decades.
Yeah, yeah.
Decades of what they were calling spiritual dryness.
Yep.
So it's like at some point in time, you're going to get over that, call it a honeymoon phase or whatever, that you're maybe not going to get the warm fuzzies out of going to Mass.
That's right.
Out of the daily Mass, out of the whatever it is. But now it's become part of who you are.
That's right.
So it is a journey.
Yep.
And I think that's cool because maybe it was C.S. Lewis, I think, said something to the effect of it's God, I'm going to mess up the quote, but it's basically like whenever they're still praying, even though they don't feel that,
Yep.
The effects of grace. I can't remember how he put it. Do you know the quote I'm talking about? It's something to the effect of, whenever you get them, I think it was in Screw Tape Letters, and they're having that the demons are having that dialogue. It was something to the effect of, well, I'll just like, give them a hard time, and they're going to be down on their luck, and I'm going to basically make it to where they can't feel God anymore, or something to that effect, and it was like the ones that keep praying after that, that's the ones that's you got to worry about.
Yep,
because
absolutely.
they're, even though they don't feel that grace, that warm fuzzy feeling, as I'll say a lot of times, when you can still go through and do your fulfill the obligations, still worship God, still do the things, even though you're not feeling like, that warm and fuzzy. I think that's because now it's part of you.
That's right.
That's why why are we doing this? Because it's part of who we are.
That's right.
But it didn't happen overnight.
Yep.
I mean, I can remember being, not too terribly long ago, that I was not living my life for Christ at all. Mm-hmm. And I would have been one of those that would have missed Mass because the World Series was on Holy Day of Obligation. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you what day was a Holy Day of Obligation.
Yep.
So, I mean, I always knew that Sunday was a Holy Day of Obligation.
Yep.
And back, again, I wish it wasn't that way, but I mean, before we had kids, after we were married, but before we had kids, I wasn't going to Mass every Sunday, and I do remember the year I had it was a New Year's resolution. Mm-hmm. It was, I'm not going to miss church on Sunday. Yeah. And it was like that one little thing was, and I had since we had Evan. Evan was born, and I knew that we needed something.
Yep.
And there had to be something that we had to do. So that was like that one of the first steps was, I'm not going to miss a Sunday Mass.
Yep.
And and that was a challenge, back then. I mean, it was whenever you're coming from not doing
absolutely.
that, whew.
No, when we joined the church, it was the same thing. I mean, there was a number of weekends that, it seemed like, we came in the church in April, and then in Colorado, I think we had 2 crazy spring snowstorms the next 2 weeks. You woke up Sunday morning and you're like, oh, it's snowing outside. I'm not, we have to bundle up the kids and we have to do this and we just had a brand new baby and the roads might be a little dangerous to drive on, which actually, definitely factored into it. But, you're like, yeah, okay, we'll just go next week, right? And it wasn't until I started talking to my sponsor and he was like, what? Right? Yeah. Like, what? You went through the whole RCIA thing, you did this whole thing, and then the first, 3 weeks you had the chance to go, you didn't go? Are you crazy? But I think to your point, right, it's like, we talked about this years ago in the Dads at Mass podcast, right? It's like you sit there and you go, some days you're, why am I doing this, right? Why am I getting up early? Why am I going in? Why am I doing this? And it, it's a challenge for a lot of people, and I'm not, putting anybody under any sort of bus or anything like that, right? This is all of our personal journeys that we're just talking about for ourselves. But if you can get to that, it starts as a discipline, right? And the discipline becomes the habit,
yes.
And then the habit becomes the love, right? And if you're not feeling passionate about anything you're doing in your life, but it's good for you, you got to do it, and then the passion comes later, right? We talked about that a little bit the other night at dinner too. It's like it's not the other way around, right? The passion doesn't drive you, maybe for the first time, but when you've got sick kids and a busy life and a lawn that needs to get mowed and things around the house that need to be cleaned up or whatever it is, or the Astros are playing in the World Series, those are the times where you just have to go. This is who we are as Catholics, right? This is it's why are we doing this? Because it's who we are, right? Because we wouldn't miss it, right? Just like anybody, like if you ask somebody what they do, why do you do that for your kids, right? Gosh, you have you do all the sporting events. Why do you do that? Well, it's who we are, right? Yeah. We're really into softball. We're really into soccer. This is what we do. Yeah. Make time to do that for your Catholicism too.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've been kicking around in my head the past couple of weeks was what do you do on the weekend? What do you do when, not really the weekend, but on Saturday, or what do you do whenever you're on vacation, mm-hmm. like a holiday? Maybe it's like 4th of July or something. that gives you an extra day in the week, or if you're not going and traveling. Yep. What do you do with your time? And typically for me, so like here's my routine during a normal day, mm-hmm. is I'll wake up around 4:30 and go to the gym, and then when I'm at work, you work until lunch. At lunch, I go outside and I'll run, mm-hmm. and then I'll come home and finish out the day. If it's on the weekend, I don't wake up early to work out. Yep. I won't. I don't run. Yep. And unless it's on Sunday, I don't go to Mass. Mm-hmm. So part of it was, this is where I want to be. Mm-hmm. Where I want to be is that my routine, both in my fitness, my spiritual fitness and my physical fitness, mm-hmm. is that regardless of what day it is, I will exercise and I will go to Mass. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would love to get to that point. Yep. So that's where my sights are set. But at this point, I'm not there, mm-hmm. because it's like, well, now I've got my time to myself. That's right. So I'm going to sleep this morning. Yep. It's a Saturday or it's during the week. So what I really am eyeballing for this Thanksgiving break, depending on where we are, I would like to make some efforts to not only do some physical exercise, mm-hmm. in those off days. Yeah. But also spiritual. So like try to go to Mass or to do something like that. The Thanksgiving Mass would be fun. We always talked about that. Yeah. Go give thanks. So that's, and I guess just to kind of tie it back to the topic of that we're mm-hmm. talking about is like, why do you do this? It's who we are. I feel that this is a journey and I'm not there yet. Yep. Because if it was really and truly who I was, like you've made an effort to fast. Mm-hmm. That takes a concerted effort for you to not eat during this one day that you choose. Otherwise, you're going to eat every day. Right. You're going to do certain things every day. You're going to do it. You're not going to skip it unless there's something seriously wrong. Right. So I want my faith to be like that. Yeah. I would love it to be one of the. There's a lot of people that I know that go to daily Mass, and you can tell these people go to daily Mass just in their demeanor, yep. the way that they, the way that they speak to you, your interactions, it shows. And that's something that I would strive to do. Is I want it to be where when I have time off from work and I'm home, that we do that.
Yeah.
So that's something to strive toward.
I like it. Just make it what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always can improve.
Yep. Okay, so hopefully that's good. I think it would be a great challenge, for ourselves. We always need to kind of look at our faith and our activities, and we need to ask ourselves, why are we doing these things, and be able to have those answers, and be able to, we always have to be prepared to evangelize, right? Whether we're talking about it, whether we're showing through our behavior, whether there's an opportunity at the office, the fast, and we talked about this. I don't know if it was on a recording or not, but we talked about like that's an opportunity as well to, to evangelize, right? Just by you're not eating. Well, yeah, this is why. So just thought I'd throw that out there. If you're a Catholic person and when you're sitting in Mass on Sunday, maybe just sit there and really just ask yourself, why am I doing this? And make sure you've got like a really clear answer. And if you don't, pray for it, right? It'll come to you.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right.
Yeah, check us out on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're listening to it. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, like and love and share and talk real good about us.
That's right. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Catholic Dad Podcast at gmail.com. Is it Catholic Dads? Catholic Dads Podcast at gmail.com. Awesome. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks for listening.